Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women and entrepreneurs to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So today, how so fitting that I screw that up. So today we're going to talk about not panicking, right? Let's not hit the panic button all of the time. So anytime I talk about this, I think of the Pixar movie Inside Out, right? Where it has all these different emotions, have these little characters, right? And panic, I think, is like the tall green guy, whatever it is, nevertheless, right? And it's so easy for us to go into a panic mode, right? Prime example, my husband and I are looking at putting in a pool in our backyard, and the pool contractor needed a plot plan of our plot, right? A plan of our plot so that he could let the city know where the pool was going to go. And we got this plot plan, and unbeknownst to us, there is a very large portion, almost my entire backyard, that is considered an open space easement. And the verbiage on that says that you legitimately can't put anything there unless it's a tree or a shrub or a conservation natural type of thing, right? No permanent structures. So a pool is absolutely out of the question, right? And I was looking at this survey with my husband, and I sent it to him last night because he's traveling this week. And immediately, panic. He was like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to put it in a pool. This is ridiculous. Like, what on earth is going on? Why can't we just get the thing, right? And I could have easily spun out of control as well. In fact, a part of me was like, well, shoot, we'll just move and let the house foreclose on itself and all this other stuff, right? Like, part of me was going down that rabbit trail. But the other part of me was like, it can't be this hard, right? Like, maybe this can be a really easy thing. And maybe it's a little bit more complicated than I care for, but I know that there's a solution here. I'm not going to panic because panic does nothing at all. I actually have this really great ability to kind of disconnect and not panic in these kinds of things. Where my emotions panic can literally run around in my head, and I'm like, no, there's no reason to freak out about this. Like, let's stay calm. And so this morning I went over to the city planning office, and the guy was like, I can't say that we've ever actually reversed an open space easement. I can't say we've ever amended it. He said, but I don't fully know, so you're going to want to call this guy. And I started to ask him a couple more questions, and he really just didn't know. I mean, had no idea, couldn't give me a whole lot of information, couldn't give me any kind of a solution. And I felt myself start to panic. And I got a little bit emotional, and I started to tear up as I walked out of the office, right? Now, there was nothing that guy could do. And I could easily have just spun out and left it alone and been like, okay, we're just not getting a pool. This is what life is going to be, like, whatever, right? But the logical part of me was like, well, hey, there's pools in your neighborhood. Something had to have been done. So let's talk to this guy that's supposed to know more than this other guy. So I waited for this call to come through from the other guy. And he said, it's not impossible. He said, but you're going to just have to jump through a couple of hoops. There's going to be a couple more steps to this before you can put a pool in. He said, but we've amended these things in the past. It's not necessarily super complicated. It just may be a little bit more time consuming on your end of things. And I was like, okay, cool, right? And so I kept myself from being out of a panic mode that a solution could actually come through. Is it the solution that I want? No. I would like to just put my pool in tomorrow, right? But I will have a couple extra steps, but it's not an impossible thing. And so this is the beauty of me, right? And the beauty of life in general is that there is nothing that is impossible. Nothing at all that is impossible. It may take a couple of other steps. It may take some creativity. It may take a different perspective of something, but there is nothing that is 1,000% impossible, right? And so when I see myself kind of coming up to this roadblock and I feel myself getting stopped, I will step away and remind myself that there's a way. If this is something that I truly want, there is a way to make it happen. And by stepping back and releasing the panic and the stress and the pressure, the solution can actually come through. Now, again, would I love it resolved right now? Yes, absolutely. Of course, who wouldn't want it resolved right now? But I know that I'm going to have a pool in my backyard. It might take a couple extra weeks to get some ducks in a row. It might take me following up with people to make sure that this happens, right? But there's going to be a pool that's put in my backyard. Done. End of story, right? There's no doubt there that that's going to happen. And so, but we often do this to ourselves, and we just give up on our dream entirely because it's not going that way. And I love this graphic. I don't remember where I found it. But it's this graphic of like, it literally looks like roots to a tree. And then there's the present moment, and there's a little dot in the middle. It's like all these different like roots, all these different paths led to me right here in the middle. Okay. And then there's a million other roots that come out of that present moment. So you have all of these roots, present moment, all of these future roots, right? So past roots that led you here, you in the present moment, future roots, right? And you are constantly choosing which way you're going to go. And it's changing. And you could go this way, and you could go this way, and you could go this way. And they all have different outcomes based off of what you decided right now in this present moment. And so I could have absolutely spun out of control and been like a crazy person, right? And like, that's it, we're moving, all these things, right? But I just had to be open to a different solution that wasn't one that I saw immediately. Right? With the first person that I talked to, it sounded like it was a done deal. There was not going to be a pool in my yard. But just having a little sliver of hope and talking to the next guy who said, yeah, your neighbors did something similar to this, so I'm sure you can have it amended as well. We just have to allocate different things, and it can be fine. The city doesn't even do this anymore, so it's crazy that this is still a thing, which increased my hope of a pool a little bit more, right? And then I called the survey company who was like, yeah, we can do that. We just need examples of what it is, which increased my hope a little bit more, right? And so this morning when I left the office, I had a tiny little bit, right? Like the faith of a mustard seed, tiny little bit of hope that this was going to work out. Now, there could be some tiny little bit that's like, it's still not going to work out, but I'm hanging on to this part where I have the faith that there's going to be a pool in my backyard. And this shows up in our life and our business all of the time. We are too quick to give up on something when the going gets tough. Not you guys. You listen to this YouTube, you watch this YouTube channel and you listen to my podcast. You are not the people that give up too easily. But there are people that will give up at the first sign of difficulty. And it's not that it's necessarily difficult, it's just different from what you initially expected. And unless you're going to sit down with God and be like, here's exactly the things that I expect, and I want it done exactly this way, and all of these other things, you're just going to have to lower your expectations. And not in a way where you have like low standards. That's not what I'm suggesting. Okay. But if you drop that it has to happen this way, right? Like, I was kind of set on this, like me going to the office this morning, them being like giving me a stamp of approval, being like, oh, we screwed up, go ahead, move on, right? If I had been so hard-headed that it could only happen that way, I wouldn't have been open to the actual solution, because that door would have shut, or that window, right? Whatever it was. There is always a way. There is nothing that is truly impossible. So if you are, and this reminds me of something that one of my mentors used to say to me all the time, was your solution is at a different level of consciousness. This level of consciousness that created the problem does not have the solution to the problem. You've got to step up. You've got to rise up to the next thing to solve that problem, because you're only going to continue reproducing the same sort of results until you elevate, until you get to the next level, and then you don't repeat that same response, right? Like when we're stressed out, we simply do more of what we know, not an alternative. And so you've got to remove the stress and the panic in order to do something different. So if you're somebody who panics about not having enough time, guess what? You're going to have to start telling yourself something different. Now I've had a very busy morning, zooey morning. And I looked at my to-do list about an hour ago and I was like, oh shoot, I haven't done my podcast or my YouTube yet. And I had a busy morning, right? I ended up having to go to the planner's office, which I hadn't initially planned. And some of the other work that I was doing took a little bit longer than I wanted to. And there was a lot of things to do. And had I let myself spiral and panic about not having enough time to do the things, I would still be sucked into the last project that I was doing that didn't need to get done today. And it would be very, very time consuming. But what I said to myself was, there is plenty of time for the things that matter. There is plenty of time to do the things that matter. But I had to get out of the spiral. I had to stop the spinning, ground myself and be like, okay, there's plenty of time. Right? This morning I got back from the gym and I was like, okay, I've got 10 minutes to shower before I have to wake up my kids. I showered in 7 and it still felt very luxurious, right? Showered, washed my hair in 7 minutes, got the kids up, then went back to dry my hair, right? Was it ideal? Did I want to do that this morning? No. But I had plenty of time to do the things that mattered. And I actually ended up getting to the office, the planning office, before it even opened this morning. So there was plenty of time to do the things that needed to be done. But I had to keep talking myself off the ledge because I was starting to emotionally unravel. So I just had to remind myself, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. It's okay. It'll be all right. You have space in your day for a reason. Some of those emails can be responded to later. It's okay. But I just had to continuously tell myself that, because I can go into crazy mode when I feel like I don't have time. And so I had to switch that narrative. I have plenty of time. There's plenty of time. You don't have to drive like a bat out of hell to get to where you're going. As long as you get there safely, it doesn't matter what time you actually get there. Right? And this is true in all of the things in life and business. There are going to be situations that will drive you into a panic mode. If you continue to panic in that same situation, you'll continue to have the same results. So you've got to change your narrative. You have plenty of time. There's plenty of money. It'll be okay. It might take a little bit longer than you want it to do. It'll be all right. All of these things. It'll be okay is one that I just anchor back into regularly. It'll be okay. It might not happen the way I want it to, but it'll be okay, right? So let's ditch the panic. Let's come back with a little bit more emotional intelligence. Let's raise us up to the next level. And let's do business the way that we really want to, and do life the way that we really want to. And that takes being proactive about it. And being really honest with yourself about the things that do set you on fire, right? Like, what are the things that set you into panic mode? For me, it's when stuff doesn't go according to my plan. Well, guess what? That happens more often than I care to even discuss. And so I've come to terms with this, right? Be anxious about nothing. But in everything, give prayer and thanksgiving, right? I don't even remember where that is in the Bible, but I know that that's a verse, and I repeat it over and over and over again when I feel myself getting anxious. I can only do what I can do. And to think that I can micromanage everybody else is insanity. I just can't. But it will all be okay. It's all going to work out for me. And I believe that. And so as this saga of my pool develops, it's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more energy than I initially wanted it to, and that's okay. It's happening for a reason. I don't know why. I don't need to know. I just know I'm doing my part to make sure that the ball keeps rolling. So let's not panic. Give ourselves some space to breathe, some space to ground ourselves so that you can approach things the way that you actually want to. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.